So there's three things you're doing in a sale at the same time. You listening, you know exactly where you're going, and you're confident. And so most of the time, the mindset training is 80% of sales is confident, is building your confidence to understand that because people have very low self-esteem when it comes to sales. You don't get a sale, you start going into dumps mentally and all this. No, you don't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned confidence because I define confidence as doing a skill over and over and over
Mhm,
to which the result would be, you get good at.
mhm.
Um, and that's how you gain confidence. It's not so much a state of mind as it is a product of a behavior that you do over and over and over again. Welcome to I Think I Can podcast. My name is Luella Young. I am a woman who believes that we, like wine, get better with age. Age brings us wisdom, intuition, and a level of sophistication that is beyond the reach of youth. I am here to tell you that living a luxuriously rich and fulfilling life is in your reach. I Think I Can podcast will teach you to think differently in order to get different results. Allow me to show you how to do life effortlessly. This podcast is for the woman who is tired of playing by the rules of society, community, religion, parents, and partners. I Think I Can is all about becoming brave, authentic, purposeful, and strong. Listen weekly and you will find yourself living a life you could had only once dreamed of. Thoughts drive our physiology. So channel your thoughts with me into a life truly worth living. Enjoy the show. Hey everyone, welcome back to I Think I Can podcast. Today I have a guest, a type of guest that I wouldn't normally have, or I don't know if I've ever interviewed this type of guest. Benjamin Brown is, I guess you could call yourself a sales coach, Ben,
Yes, and a
and,
mindset coach.
and a mindset coach. You need both when you're doing sales. Um, and I wanted to have him on our podcast today because I myself, like Ben works specifically with small business owners and he's had lots of expertise in the sales industry. And I myself, as a small business owner, um, it's sales is something I struggle with. So I really like the idea of having you on, Ben, and um, you know, getting past this sort of idea that it's an icky process. Like it's something that, I don't like. I would love to sell. And yeah, so let's just leave it at that. Is there anything else you'd like to say about yourself before we begin?
Well, like the cover, the exciting part is that in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to cover a couple simple ways people can use the techniques that you use that can actually double or triple their sales. Sales is simple, but it's not easy. So we're going to cover a couple tips that makes people get rid of the anxiety of what they think sales is because it's a mindset type deal. And we're going to cover a little bit of that and hopefully makes it a little bit easier to understand why sales is not that difficult. It's simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah, yeah. A very common phrase in life, isn't it?
Hmm.
I'm going to say too, like for anybody who's listening right now and kind of going, well, I don't sell. I'm just a mom. Not just a mom, but like I'm a stay-at-home mom or whatever. You sell every day, right? Moms, like you sell to your children, you sell to your teenagers, you sell to your 3-year-old who you want to have eat more broccoli, right? You sell to your spouse. You're constantly selling all day, and I realize that. So stay tuned because we're going to talk about how to get the sale.
I'm glad you said that because that's the first thing that people have to understand that they don't want to do it, but they're already doing it. They're just doing it inefficient.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So let me start, and maybe I don't know if this is a common question for you or not.
Mhm.
But do you feel it's as a woman and a business owner, do you feel men are better at selling than women? And if so, why?
No,
Okay. All right. Interesting.
it's all based on persona. Women, depending on the market that you're doing, it's a lot of man-driven businesses out there. The better part of a woman being able to understand her skills when she's in a conversation with a man is that she has more time, right? So
She has more time.
women,
She has more time.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm. So when she's talking to a gentleman, normally the man will give her more courtesy in the opening, right? In the beginning of the conversation. Like, what is this about? Whereas
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
conversate with another man, it's like what you want, this so on and so forth. You will have a little bit more leniency than you would. Now, working with another woman, you have a little bit more compassionate. I'm talking to another woman. So in both sides, you have a benefit of doing that, right? You have
Okay.
more time to warm the person up, to do the introduction that you need, rather than a guy coming in talking to a woman. She's like, oh, here he comes again. This type of deal. Everybody's like, when it comes from a man's standpoint, what you got, tell me what you got, hurry up. Like it's a regular deal. If it's normal times, it's a woman, like, oh, she can understand me a little bit better. That's why you have Mary Kay. You don't have a lot of guys in Mary Kay, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to Dillard's, there's normally women behind the counter. And if it is a man, normal times, nothing against it, you will have an effeminate man, the feminine type deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing aggressive, right? And so the same thing when a woman approaches a man with a product, normal times it's not going to be in an aggressive manner, which gives you a little bit more time. Time is everything. So having that little bit more time to introduce yourself, a little bit more courtesy, uh, not to be turned down in the beginning, increases your sales.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I never really thought of time being a thing, but okay, so not necessarily uh yeah, like it's not anything that
Shocking,
women.
isn't it? Shocking, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I never really thought about that before.
Mhm,
Okay. You know what? Like I sometimes have like someone I've hired different business coaches, mentors throughout my lifetime as well. And I know for myself that let's say they see me on social media,
mhm.
and I'll be completely honest, social media is not a place I like to be on or sell on, but everybody tells me, Luella, it's free. You should get out there. People want to see you, people want to get to know you, people blah blah blah. And I've been told that, when you're on social media, Luella, like you're inspirational, but you're not direct. So, in other words, they're telling me you need to be more direct. You need to have, and I know I realize we're talking about sales in a specific industry here in social media, but I mean, social media is so much part of our lives. I
Mhm.
hope it's okay to address that a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but it's sort of um like there's no like call to action or after the conversation or anything like or you need this, um and this is why you need this sort of thing. That's how I take direct as, and it makes me feel very uncomfortable, and I'll tell you why. And
Okay.
this applies to it doesn't,
I'll
it
be
has
I'll
to.
be I'll be your therapist today. How
Thank
about
you. Thank
okay,
you.
go ahead.
Okay. So it makes me feel kind of icky because I don't know why, and maybe it's a therapy thing, but it's sort of like, heaven forbid I influence you to do
Mhm.
something that you wouldn't otherwise do. Like that makes me feel kind of yucky. Like if they had no intention to buy the service, buy the product, whatever. I don't care if I'm selling like a Vitamix, or my service. If they
Mm-hmm.
were just strolling along in Costco
Mm-hmm.
and they had no intention to buy a Vitamix,
Mm-hmm.
and I see it as coercion. Like I see my prospect and I'm like, I want you, and I pull them
Okay.
in.
So let's slow it down here. You said an important word here, which is the beginning of your therapy I just picked. And you said the word coercion, which
Yes.
that means that you're selling a product that somebody doesn't want or need.
Hmm.
You don't do that. That's where you get it from because your negative connotations with sales comes from coercion,
Hmm.
right? So let's cover that word. Where did you get that from? Where did you see that? Somewhere, when I say mindset, when I back up and teach people sales, what I used to do, and this is very important, is I taught sales for many years. A lot of people were getting it, a lot of people was not getting what I was teaching is because of the mindset that they had. So I learned years down the road, I had to change the mindset, the negative connotations of what sales was, going back into the trauma or drama or whatever they thought was negative about sales. Once I was able to do that, I was able to end a process people can use and realize sales was not a negative deal. That negative came through something that they were sold something they didn't like, they heard a story, they seen something on the news, they have a perception, all of these things. Sales can be used for evil if you know how to sell. And most people on the evil side get publicized for being good at sales on the negative side. That's what makes news. But everybody's in sales. So 90% of sales is for good, for something somebody wants or needs. You just make it observational. That's what marketing is. Makes it observed that you might want something like that. And the sales is to do that. So I'll close with this. And I educate people because there's a couple points that I cover. So I will come to you and the basic concept. What is the purpose of a sell?
So the customer gains a product that they likely need.
See, these are people in businesses that are millionaires and people who run 50,000, 60,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and making money, but don't have a direct answer what the purpose of a sale is. That's why it's difficult. They're drudging their way through it. They do have a skill, a product, or a service that they're very good at, but getting people to actually confirm and invest in that is difficult for them to transcend that. That's what sales is, and people are not trained in it. So that's why they always think, oh, I'll hire somebody. I will do this amount of marketing. I will spend this money for Facebook ads so I can get low hanging fruit. So I do not have to learn how to sell. There's businesses out there that's phenomenal with no marketing because they know how to sell, right? So, what is the purpose of a sale? Everybody has their opinion, whatever. So, give me another definition you think is purpose of a sale. And I'm gonna answer it for you.
Purpose of a sale
Yeah.
is, I think it's the same as my other answer. It's sort of giving a product or a service to someone that is in need of it.
Okay. So this is why the mindset changes and why you need a coach, because the thing of it is that people don't understand. Sales is simple, but it's not easy. That's my concept. The purpose of a sale is to get somebody to move. Has nothing to
Move.
do with a product or service, right?
Okay.
What do? Click on this, scroll here, give me your email here, call this number, take a look at this, answer this question, baby steps,
Mm-hmm.
right? Something that you're interested in, you scroll through, hey, might be looking at something to clean my rug. This thing has not been working. Hey, take a look at this. While you're looking at it, why don't you scroll down and look at the details? Why don't you sit down and click here and go to the comparisons? Look at the ratings. It's just a small amount of steps like Amazon. Oh, by the way, if you want it, there's no shipping charge. There's no tax. Click here, right? Boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
But you went through a process to get that. You just didn't click and bought it. You did a thing. So when you do it by voice with a person, which it used to be before computers and technology, sales has not changed, just the tools have changed. Amazon does it in a systematic way.
Mm-hmm.
You bundle this, you get that with this, all this type of deal to get people move. You know, when you said in the beginning you were having blah 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 and you were talking with people and you're doing your social media, you wasn't not selling, you was telling.
Mm-hmm.
Sales is a skill to get people to move. So when you're talking and you're just not putting together a sales process, you're just having a conversation. Sales is a skill, it's a different type of language. It's a language. So if you don't know the language, you're just talking at people about what you do and all this. And hopefully they will be interested enough to fall over and just give you the money.
Yeah, that's the way I've been operating. It's sort of and that's
That's convert and that's called, what did the term we talked about? Coercion or
yeah, coercion,
yeah,
coercion.
you talk to them long enough to just convince them to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what that is. Sales is not that. Sales is you clicked on this, you came here, we're in a conversation. I'm going through the process to find out if you qualify for my product. If you do it right, am I wasting my time? So most of the time when I teach, I ask people, who's the most important person, the buyer or the seller? What do you think?
Well, I would presume it's the buyer. No.
It's the seller.
Mm-hmm.
You provide a service that you can present worldwide to a number of people. If you had 1,000,000 leads right now, you would just basically be going through qualifying. Problem is, most people don't have enough leads. They're out searching,
Mm-hmm.
searching for leads, right? Next person, the next person. Most of the entrepreneurs, man, if I had 5 more clients, man, so it's a constant search, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing about it, if you sell properly, and I teach people how to generate more leads, is that your deal is to qualify because you're not only selling, you're not only doing accounting, you're facilitating the work. Your time is very small, right? We all want to live better lives. So doing all those 3 jobs is very time consuming. So the mindset that you change, my time is important. I need to figure out I know what I do. I know the value that I provide. You might need it or want it. I want to make sure that you qualify for that before I even tell you if I can help you,
Mm-hmm.
because I need to move on to somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My time is important,
Yeah, but
right?
everybody's time is important though.
No, 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 no,
Everybody's
no, no. I
complaining.
got that. But I'm saying from the sales standpoint, when you're in a conversation with them about your services, it's like, I'm not begging for your service. I'm going to qualify my sales process the way I teach. When you're done, you have no emotion about your sales process, right? So there's 3 things you're doing in a sale at the same time. You listening, you know exactly where you're going, and you're confident. And so most of the time, the mindset training is 80% of sales is confident, is building your confidence to understand that, because people have very low self-esteem when it comes to sales. You don't get a sale, you start going into dumps mentally and all this. No, you don't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned confidence because I define confidence as doing a skill over and over and over,
Mhm,
to which the result would be, you get good at.
mhm,
Um, and that's how you gain confidence. It's not so much a state of mind as it is a product of a behavior that you do over and over and over again. So, successfully.
mhm.
That's how I feel confidence is. And you said there's 3 things a person needs is having, I guess, you didn't use the word vision, but like an ending point, I guess, is where you want the conversation to go, to have that in mind. The confidence would be because you do this. A person probably could do it 20 times a day, depending on what industry they're in, right? Like maybe phone cold calls or whatever it is. And
Mhm.
then the other skill you mentioned was
Listen.
listen. Oh yeah, which one could say is the most important?
Well, if you're not confident, you don't know where you're going. You're mostly focused on yourself. You're not focused on the client. Because most time the client gives you what's called golden nuggets. They're
Mm-hmm.
telling you something about your program or whatever service that is. And most sales reps just roll over that because they're so focused on where they're going and what they're
Mm-hmm.
saying and how they're proceeding that
Mm-hmm.
they're missing these little things. So a
Mm-hmm.
good salesperson is doing multitasking. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not here talking directly, you're above looking at the interaction. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
you become a good salesperson because you're judging yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your performance is a performance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like stage fright. So people that have sales anxiety is like stage fright. Yeah, I don't want to go out there and mess up because you don't want to practice on potential clients. So the only way you really, if you don't understand sales, is have somebody who can help you understand these anxieties, go through and do the role playing, so you know make the mistakes before you get on the phone or on a Zoom call, and then understand these things. I'll give an example.
Okay.
One of the ladies that I worked with found me on LinkedIn 2 years ago. Lovely lady. I still work with her today. She's been in business for 23 years doing books. Great business, runs about $500,000 in sales a year before she met me, the whole deal. Never done sales. Introverted, of course, she's a writer type deal. So it's not her outgoing personality,
No.
which I can work with people with any personality. Doesn't matter. As long as you understand the system. So what I do is I normally go in and I say, okay, based upon what I teach you to make sure you have the value, is that everything that I teach you that you actually get a sale on, write down the amount of what that is, increase. Normally 3 months is what it takes to get everything down to start going through it. Within that 3 month time frame, at the end of that, she generated probably around about $175,000 in extra sales based upon what I taught. Right.
Mm-hmm.
In the end of that, which sometimes happens, she goes, I said, excellent. Now you know how to do it. I mean, she did great at it. And she goes, just great. Now I know what to do. And I'm like, great. But she goes, I still don't want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling I'd be saying the same thing.
But and then we work together. I help her. And then I come back and I said, based upon what you do, which lets me know as far as my validation, um, every client wants to hire me because in the end, why should I do it when I can have an expert do it, right? And
Right.
I go, no, I can't do it. So out of all the clients, only about 5% I would probably work for. I just don't have the time. I'm still doing what I'm doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a compliment when they say, can you do it for me? And because she was doing something I've already done, it worked well. And we still worked well together. But that was just hindsight. She went out and did everything that was right. She understood the process. She understood how to do it. So you could take somebody who was introverted, who just didn't want to talk, and can turn that over. And then once, you have, instead of a sales manager, you have a coach that checks in every once in a while. You can overcome that to get to where you want to go. So the money's
Mm-hmm.
on the other end of the rainbow in the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay, so I mean, can you explain the process a little bit more? Like give me like the rundown of how you worked with her?
Sales is simple, but it's not easy. So every sale has 10 steps, but not every business has to use all 10 of those steps. So the process is learning the steps and repeating the steps as it's taught, not just what to do, but why you do it. If
Okay,
you
and for
understand why
for
you do it, you'll understand the steps like introduction, connect and relating, qualification, connect and relate, set up the presentation. It is 10 steps that I teach. So we go through each one of those. So when you're having a conversation, which you think you are with a client, you're going through those steps and you're doing a checkbox. Most people are winging it. They have nothing to go by. They're just talking. And what do
Mhm.
you like? And this and that. And how can we get started? And this and that. And you have no gauge of where you're at in the process. So when a person say, I got to think about it, you have no comeback. You have no confidence in this saying anything. You just go, okay, when the next guy can call you, or can I call you back? Next thing you got a list of all these callbacks that you're just battering people. Oh, you ready to move forward? You don't set it back up. I just kind of, and then
Mhm.
you have nothing to go, and you're like, okay, well, if you want to do it, you can, all this
Mhm.
kind of other
Mhm.
stuff. They want to do it. it's the fact of it is sometimes you're talking too much, you don't know it. You're not asking
Mm-hmm.
enough questions. You're not validating their emotions. So the difference between a good and a great salesperson is the number of questions that you ask. So most people are not asking enough questions with confidence to close people. So when people say close, that's where you get that conversion, like I'm forcing him. No, they really want to do it. That's why sales never go away, is because you're convincing based upon their emotions of their needs and their wants. And some people don't even know they have it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Okay. So just for the people that aren't on video, Ben held up a book that he authored.
Mhm.
And what was the name of it, Ben?
Master the Art of Closing the Sale by Benjamin Brown.
Master the Art of Closing a Sale. Okay.
Mhm.
So in that book, you have the 10 steps,
10 steps.
correct? 10
Yeah.
steps. Okay.
Mhm.
So you're saying then rather than just, getting on a call and hoping it all turns out and just looking for a lovely conversation with this person,
Uh-huh.
you're actually following steps. Like you would have these steps sort of in front of you.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. You have accounting, right? You have a person that does accounting?
Yeah, how did you know that?
Yeah. They have a system,
Yeah.
right? Marketing. They have a system that they go through,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody has marketing, everybody has sales in accounting in their business, right?
Yeah, you hope.
But
Yeah.
most people don't have a sales system.
No.
The most important part of the company is the sales that brings in the money. They don't have a system. So they're
Mm-hmm.
just winging it. They have accounting, they have
Mm-hmm.
a marketing. I throw some money out there, do this,
Mm-hmm.
bring in people through email or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when the person penetrates the skin of the company, when you get a phone call, when you get an email, you're now going into your sales system.
Yeah.
They don't have a sales system.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
they're winging it. So the
Mm-hmm.
money, they're just blowing money out the door. So if I told you had a phone call with a person and I come in and I said, Luella, that's
Mm-hmm.
not right.
Yes.
What happened? Why you didn't get it? Well, and then what most salespeople do, or people don't, you will finally get into the point where you defend either the other client or you defend yourself. Oh, they weren't ready, they didn't have the money because your confidence is low. You can't tell me I sucked in my performance.
Mm-hmm.
I should have done this, I didn't know, or I missed this question, I didn't know, because the client's not going to tell you that. So
Mm-hmm.
what happens? You go into the next call and do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're talking about like self-reflection and accountability, taking responsibility for not
Well,
making. Yeah.
the reason that people aren't successful in sales or they go to a company and leave the company is because the company didn't give them enough tools to be successful.
Mm.
So in your business, if you had to hire a salesperson to do calls for you, what tools would you give them right off the bat?
I
You
have
just
none.
oh, so
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I come working for you for a percentage of 10% or whatever we
Mm-hmm.
do for 1,000, whatever you charge,
Mm-hmm.
you got to give me the blueprint. How do we do this in your business? How do you do things here? So as you grow a business, the reason people have problems, they grow the business. Now they need to bring in somebody to do that job. They have
Mm-hmm.
no SOP, standard operating procedure, on how you do sales. What do you
Yeah.
say to the client?
A
Hope
playbook
that
of
they're doing.
playbook,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
What steps are you using?
Well,
So if you listen to a call of somebody talking to one of your potential clients, how can you grade them?
no, you know what? I'd probably if you were seriously asking, or if I hired somebody who was just somebody, yeah, off the street, and said, I would like you to do the sales for me, and they would say, is there anything particular you'd want me to follow, discuss? I think I would honestly say, well, I want you to be kind. I want you to listen well. I don't want you to interrupt. And if they feel like they're financially strained, I don't want you to put any more stress on them. Just leave it as it is and go on to like, this is what I mean. Like, I don't know if it's because I've been in the therapy world for so long that like I just would
Exactly.
never want to have someone
Exactly.
feel bad.
So a point of a sale, even though you're dealing with the mental aspect of dealing, your product is the mental aspect of people not offending, getting them to open up and things like that. It doesn't matter. It's the beginning of the process. You're going to help them. You know what you do for them. You hear it in
Yeah.
their voice. You know you can help them. You're probably saving lives.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't work for you, they don't work with you, they don't commit to doing it,
Mm-hmm.
they don't get the help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you're
So
right,
it's
like,
go
yeah.
ahead.
Commitment is one of the most difficult thing, like in terms of where I get so, and I know what you're
You're
saying
not
is very,
asking the right question. So if I come to you and I say, Luella, based on what we talked about, my background, if you do not get the help that you basically need, what do you think will happen?
yeah.
How would that make you feel?
Yeah. Yeah. I've
So,
heard, yeah, I know I've
so
heard these
from what I'm
conversations.
saying,
Yeah.
so from what we covered, and I haven't told you how I help you, but if we can provide that where you can feel better about your consciousness, what you're doing, somehow get a lot of this weight off your back so you don't feel this type of way. Is there anything holding us back from getting started with this today?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, am I aggressively slamming you and all this kind of
No.
stuff?
No.
That's what a sales process looks like.
Yeah.
But people don't know what that is. And so they
Yeah.
thinking, oh, what card you want to put on, like all of this stuff.
Right.
No, that's not what it is. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
why people don't know what sales actually is.
Mm-hmm.
When it's done right, they don't even know it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when people in sales know listening to you do it, they give you compliments. That was smooth. They'll tell you that was smooth. I like that. The way you did
Mm-hmm.
that. People in
Mm-hmm.
sales, like they know it. Like, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
man, who taught you? They'll tell
Mm-hmm.
you stuff. You know you're good at sales when you get a compliment from another salesperson. You get somebody who's stressed out, have been in sales all, and I need some therapy, and you go through and you do it right, and then they'll tell you, Luella,
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, that was sweet. They'll tell you, and then that was
Mm-hmm.
nice. I love. Who taught you how to sell like that? And you're like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you mean? And you were like,
Benjamin
you
Brown
know,
did.
yeah, you know what you're doing. You know exactly that was smooth. You made it because sales, what I teach is when it's done right, it's a beautiful thing. It's not
Yeah.
aggressive. Because the end point, Luella, on this, step number 10 in the sales process is not getting the money. It's not
Yeah.
closing the deal. It's getting more clients and referrals. The
Mm-hmm.
only way you could do that if your process is non-aggressive. So
Mm-hmm.
my end results in talking to any individual that's potentially come to my company is asking them, who else do you know that I can help? And normally most people don't ask that because they're just happy to just get to the finish line and
Mm-hmm.
barely get the sale. When is my goal is you don't want to get started with me? Great. But let me ask you a question. Who else besides that you know, since you will not be able to be committed to this, that I might have my services help?
Yeah.
I normally get between 2 to 3 people. Who would you like to start with?
Mm-hmm. No, and
That's my
yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense too. And
yeah.
like you said, it's potentially saving lives through suicide. It's potentially saving marriages, which is a lot of thing. Or, like giving them clarification, right? Like, actually, this person was not the right person for me, but
Mhm.
now, thankfully, I know that for certain. And I need to move on with my life, sort of thing. So I get what you're saying. It's just sort of it's a win-win for both people, on either side of the conversation, right? And they contacted you for a reason. And yeah, it's up to you to fulfill their needs. Um Now I have another question
Mhm.
because we live in behind the screen type of world right now, like we're
Mhm.
not sitting face to face, which there's a beauty in that too, right? I get to interview you without flying down to Florida or vice versa. Not to say that wouldn't be a bad idea, but I like there's a how about the email type of sales? Do you also help with that? Because most people don't call me. Most people email me.
Right.
So is
Have you turned your emails into phone calls?
no.
Why not?
Because I love hiding behind a screen, to be completely honest with you.
Do you like working with clients? Would you like working with more clients?
Of course. Yeah.
There's your answer.
Do the hard work.
Simple, but it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
What people do is they hide behind tools.
Mm-hmm.
50 years ago, you wouldn't have this kind of conflict. There was no email. There was no fax machines. Sales was still going on. Therapy still was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time that people had a technology to use in sales was what? The telegraph.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Next after that was what? Radio. Then there was TV. Then there were telephones. Then we had telephones. Then we had fax machines.
Mm-hmm.
When I started in sales, I had a phone and a notebook. That was it. The beautiful part about me, I came before the time of the computer. These are just tools.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't replace the still sales system. These are just tools added in to get to more people at the same time. You can email out to 1,000, 2,000 people. You could never go door to door in that amount of time. So
Mm-hmm.
people like low-hanging fruit. They want these people to come in and lay down. And we're dealing with humans. It doesn't work like that. So they use it as an excuse. And it's very simple to dismiss it. Oh, they wasn't ready. You don't even know the person. You never got them on the phone. You dismissed them. You didn't even help them. You just let them go. They didn't have the confidence to even get into it. They don't even know what you sound like. They probably just seen you.
Right. Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially when you're going to be working in a voice type of situation. It's not like a car sale where I go down and buy the car. I never have to see this person ever again. They're going to be working with you one-on-one. So the best benefit for you is actually to be on the phone because they're going to be hearing your voice on a regular basis. Does this person sound like somebody I want to work with?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Put most people the confidence when that hits, when an email comes in. I run 3 other companies. So I run a limousine company and I do a book business. So when that lead comes in, I know, boom, right there, boom. Let's get on I had a gentleman call me this morning for a limousine. I have a chat, another tool.
Mm-hmm.
I have a chat on my website. Boom, chat comes through. Blah, blah, blah. Do you have buses? This, boom, 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 boom. Let's jump on a call. What's your number? Sends me the number. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, how are you doing? 30 minutes later, I got the deal, $1,000. I'm not back and forth with people.
No.
I don't have that kind of time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to work with me? Are you interested in working with me? Do you want or need to work with me?
Yeah.
That's all I need to find out. Once I find that out and you can afford me and you have the time to work with me, there's no reason you should not be working with me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I 100%, I agree that it's much more time efficient to get on a phone. And I have moved that way more and more lately because this texting and this emailing and
circles spinning. So that's why when I coach people, they love working with me now because when you can do it by voice, you have a bigger advantage over your competition because they're still texting, doing spinning, because you might not be the only option that they're looking at. So the other person is still texting. Boom, I get on the phone. This person got on the phone. Like in my limo business, I answer the phone. People are like, oh, you answer the phone? You answered the phone? Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know probably 9 people out of my business that they go straight to voicemail. They call them back or something. They'll text me or something like that. I answered the phone. I closed more deals. How do you close it? I answered the phone. Mm-hmm. People want to talk to. How many people nowadays are like, man, if I could just, man, you sit on hold, you just wait. Can I just talk to somebody? Push this button. Push that button. I need help now.
Mm-hmm.
The email might be a call for help now. I mean, I'm a veteran. I'm PTSD. First thing they do is when you call the VA, if you need help, call 911.
Right.
Don't be on hold, right? I need help now. Don't wait.
No.
Number, get them to your house. Like they know because every 22 minutes a veteran commits suicide. I have got 5 guys that I know have done it. If I could have gotten to him quicker, if I would have known my brother was in that kind of pain, because I have a number of them. I could have possibly could have had them still on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
One of my guys was in a standoff with the cops. And, I was like a week away from calling him. Like, I could have got on the phone. I could have told the cops, let me talk to him. I know him, that type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have the time. He
Mm-hmm.
probably, what would happen if you send me an email? I need help. I'll get to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I know.
Making sense?
Oh, well, totally. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Put out
it's,
fires.
yeah. And I think, I, I think, but that's probably one of the obstacles to selling though, right? Is the idea that, people want to hide behind a screen. Like they don't want to give their number, perhaps, or like I really feel like people.
Here's something, Luella. Let me
Okay.
explain this to you. Because you're coming from, and I've been in sales for many years. And
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you this candidly. Look around.
There's no one else. No.
Nobody's listening. Okay. Just between me and you. Certain people have a difficulty understanding the aspect of sales because it's performance based and it's a little bit below them, not below them, but on a different level. The hardest part for people to do, and I found in my years, is doctors, lawyers, and people with PhDs. They overthink it. You analyze everything, which is your job, which is what. And I found when I talk to PhDs, man, it is like, here we go. Well, and I think this, and I'm like, listen, you can do that in your business. When it comes to sales, it is a performance, right? It's about your confidence. So when you say I think and I feel, ooh, don't do that when it comes to sales on your end. You have them do that, right? It's pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see on down here RP, PhD, I mean, I don't know, FBI, HIP. When I see that, I'm like, here we go. So selling to a person like you is difficult. Not the hardest, but the hardest people to sell to is car salesmen, doctors, lawyers, and people with PhDs because they want to analyze everything about it. They don't want to think, they want to cover every aspect of it. So you're thinking like you should be sold to.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get out of your own head.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting.
So that's the mindset thing I have to do normally with students, depending on where they're coming from, why you're not able to sell. I know
Mm-hmm.
you can sell. What's stopping you? Once I'm able to find out what's stopping you from selling, teaching you to sell becomes easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you realize you had a problem. And most
Yeah.
PhDs don't think they have a problem.
Right. Right. Oh no, that's not me though.
But I'm saying
I'm
when you say I
completely
think,
flawed. Yeah.
it's like you're getting more analytical in there. And it's simple when I say that's why I came up with the concept. It's simple, but it's not easy. The not easy part is actually figuring out why you're not selling and doing the work,
Yeah.
right? But it's
Yeah.
simple, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So that part of like analyzing why and this and that, we get rid of that. We
Mm-hmm.
just do
So
it.
so okay, I had two questions. One is well, back to like social media and website and things like that, because I mean, we have to, we need to admit that there's, such things as sales funnels and
Mhm.
sales pages,
Right.
and yeah, websites or whatever, things like that, or copy on social media,
Mhm.
posts,
Right.
LinkedIn,
Right.
right? You're making
Yeah.
sales on LinkedIn.
Right.
So what makes good sales copy then?
Sales copy is a whole different
Okay.
market. It's people that do it. It's expensive as all get out.
Hmm.
This person that coming back from an advertising background who writes specific copy, which now has been done by Chat GPT. I don't know how long these guys are going to live, but you
Hmm.
could pay a lot for copy. It is another way to reach the clients. It's another way for the clients to what? Penetrate the skin of the company.
Hmm.
People want laydowns. If I could just give them enough information, they should just click and buy.
Hmm.
It's great if it works like that, right?
Hmm.
Amazon you can't get anybody on the phone. You can't get
Hmm.
nobody on the phone on eBay. You can't get nobody on the phone on Amazon,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so they don't want it. They're like, if you don't, they made it so systematic psychologically that it's been tested, right? So that's why they said we should run this ad and then we should do 2 ads and do all of this different deals. That's fine.
Mm.
But if I took everything away, which I do with some clients, if I took your computer away,
Mm-hmm.
I took your phone,
Mm-hmm.
your email, your capability, how would you work?
Mm-hmm. I'd put up a sign on my door and
Okay.
hope for the
Okay.
best.
Okay. So let me express this to you. It's just going to make sense. I'm glad you went that route. So a homeless person on the
Oh
street
God.
corner.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Take it. I'm a homeless person. I got a sign out. Okay.
Okay. So nothing against homeless person. We could be homeless at any given time. Hell, couple bad months,
Totally.
years, you could be homeless. So there's
Yeah.
no excuse. So a homeless person with a good mental, not totally out there, on a good street corner, do you know how much they can make per day?
No, I don't.
On average, on a good street corner, which means marketing, I go there with a sign, whatever they do, they normally can pull down between $300 to $750 a day, non-taxable. That's
Impressive.
Canadian, US, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, that homeless person doesn't have a fax machine, doesn't have a website, doesn't have Instagram, doesn't have LinkedIn, doesn't have Facebook, probably has a cell phone, doesn't have any of these tools. Now, works the same hours, actually not out there as long as he's supposed to. Now, you got a business person, got a bank account, business cards, got a laptop, they got all social media, coffee, stand-up desks, all of this stuff. Now, sales is everything, right? So what's the difference between that salesperson and the homeless person? And that
Well,
entrepreneur is not only not making $700 a day, right?
yeah. Yeah. No. I would say, face.
Both in
Well,
sales.
face to face.
They're both in sales, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the difference?
Face-to-face interaction. And I also feel like, just as you said in the phone conversations, and I would also argue, just as in good sales copy, like written copy, you're hitting on the emotion piece.
No.
Oh,
The reason the homeless person is great is because they're focused. They don't care what their family says. They don't care what they look like. They don't care what they smell like. They don't care how much rejection they go through. They don't care about technology. They don't care about anything. They really need and want what they want, whether it's food, alcohol, or drugs, and they don't care what it's going to take to get that. They're focused.
mhm.
The entrepreneur comes into the office, drinks coffee, checks the email, goes and does all this other stuff, not focused at all, right? Has all these streams of different ways to reach clients, email, like you talked about, chat, all this stuff. Still can't make the numbers that the homeless person. That's why they're not out there every day. They don't need the money. They have no overhead. But you got bills and all
Oh
this other
God,
stuff,
how depressing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when you drive down the street, you think, oh, that poor guy over there, and you see him sitting under the tree during the summertime, chilling out, having his drink because he's rolling in the money because he doesn't need a lot, but you need about 100,000 to live in your house and everything else, right? To pay all your bills, and he's kicking your butt in sales.
And
Now,
you,
here's another thing. It's going to blow your mind. You sell psychiatric. You've done 12, 15 years in school to get the skill that you want. You've done a tremendous amount of work to get the certifications to help people to do what you want. You paid student loans out the yin yang to do that, right? That's your product. Took you years to get that, right? The homeless person, what is the homeless person selling you?
their heart, almost, like, I mean, like, they're
What do you get in your hand when you give them the money? What do you get back?
Gratification.
What do you get in your hand? What do you get
N-
tangible in your hand? What do you
Uh,
get?
mm,
Like,
mm,
you give him $10. What do you get back in your
um,
hand physically?
I maybe a handshake.
You don't touch their hand. You know you don't do that. What
No,
do
no,
you get back? What product or service do you get back from them?
nothing.
They're selling what?
They're selling emotion, really.
Nothing.
Yeah.
They don't have a product or service. They're able to make $300 to $700 a day. You have a product or service you develop, you probably bought, resale, built yourself, education, all of this stuff here. You have something to sell.
Hmm.
Homeless person has nothing to sell and kicking everybody's butt. Nothing. Not even a pet rock.
Hmm.
You have something of value, something that you have developed, something you put a lot of time in, something you believe in, and you're not making the same amount of money as this person.
Hmm.
It's one reason you're not focused.
A piece
And
of humble
so,
pie, right?
so
Yeah.
people don't think about that. You get nothing.
Hmm. 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 Good point. Very good point. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have four of the best salespeople in the United States or Canada, and that's one of them, the homeless person, because you don't look at it like that.
Okay. Who else?
Number one is a child.
Yeah. 100%.
So we're trained and born to sell. You ask for
Hmm.
milk, you want to get picked up. Picked up is a close. I want this.
Hmm.
I want this. I want this. I want this. I close, 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 close,
Hmm.
close. Western civilization teaches you not to do that. That's rude. Keep
Hmm.
asking. Don't do that.
Hmm.
But when you go to third world countries, they ask, 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 ask in the markets, right? And people, you see people,
Hmm.
when they come, they get all uncomfortable. This is the way civilization has worked. We're trained in the West. If you can't afford it, you don't ask for it.
Hmm.
You don't
Hmm.
negotiate.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's why people feel afraid because they haven't done it. Their muscles has atrophied. They went to high school, they went to college, they got these huge degrees, they made the money. Whatever I want, I can just go get it. I don't have to negotiate for anything. I can
Hmm.
go to the store, everything has prices on it. But
Hmm.
hence, everything is negotiable. We just don't know it
Hmm. Hmm.
because we haven't been trained to. So when I teach sales, I get people to understand it's everywhere. Everything's negotiable.
Hmm. Hmm.
But we've been trained it's not. You're in a box. You just go out, and if you can't afford it, you just don't get it. And if I do it, I feel uncomfortable. I feel ick. Well, guess what? That person in Africa sitting on the side of the road is selling fruit. Or when you go to the Philippines, you got a 6-year-old child out there selling reeling rods for whatever.
Oh, yeah.
They don't feel no ick
Hmm. No, none at all. No.
because they don't know about an ick. They've been selling the whole time. So people stop selling, the muscle atrophies. That's
Hmm.
one of the reasons people feel uncomfortable about it. We've been trained to do it.
Hmm.
It's just been taken out of the culture.
Hmm.
Make sense?
Yes, 100%. Okay, what's the other one? Two more.
The other one is a church is traditional. You never go to a church, any type of religious ceremony without bringing your wallet.
Yeah.
They started at 10%,
Hmm.
right? You've It's traditional. You know you're going to give.
Yeah.
You're going to feel guilty. They figure out 3 ways. The Catholic Church, when I go to the Vatican, which I've been to numerous times, they I love those guys. I'm Methodist. They have a line in the back of it. You been to the Vatican?
Yes. Hmm.
In the back of the church, religion is supposed to be modest, right?
Hmm.
They have a line in the back in the hallway telling you where the end of the largest churches in the world end inside the church. This church in Turkey ends here. Just telling you this is the biggest church in the world.
Mm.
We are the biggest and we are like
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, they're just telling you. Too small, not here. We're the biggest. We are the best. Give
Hmm.
us 10%. We started the rule. Chase Bank, the whole deal. You know how that works. So you never seen a broke church.
No. No.
So a church is a great because it's traditional. You know you're supposed to give. They don't
Hmm.
have to close you. They give you 3 ways. You can give money in cash. You could put it in an envelope with no name. You could put your name on it and be known.
Mm-hmm.
Three different ways for three different personalities to give.
Mm-hmm.
And when the preacher, whoever's up there is selling you salvation, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, one other thing, and then I'll probably have to leave you go, but like, I mean, all those three ways, like the beggar, the homeless, the
Hmm.
child, and the church, you know,
Right.
a place of worship. I mean, what comes to my mind is it they all really focus on the emotional piece though, right? And
So I didn't give you number four, but I'll explain it why. So
oh, right.
a child closes, right?
Yeah.
A child is a great salesperson is because they close. A church is a good sales because it's traditional. You make it traditional. The other one is because they know the customer more than they know themselves. That's Home Shopping Network, QVC. You know how they run.
Hmm.
The third is the homeless person. So if you can close like a child, become traditional like a church, know the customer more than they know themselves like QVC, or become focused like a homeless person. If you know any one of those four techniques, you could be a good salesperson. If you know all four of them, you're powerful.
Yeah.
So when I teach, I figure out which one comes based upon your personality. But some people, they get all four of them. And when they do that, they're unstoppable.
Hmm.
Unstoppable.
Hmm. Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that because I think people that are very, very good at sales
Mhm.
find making money is super easy. And you know, I've seen that too. Like they're okay with taking pretty high financial risk because they're like, making money is easy. I'll just make more if I lose this.
It's one of the best skills in the business coming out of college. You won't need college. If I teach somebody for 6 months, they have the skills. If they keep practicing and keep working on their skill, they'll make way more money than anybody with, a doctorate in their lifetime without anything. They can go from job to job. They can go to any location. They can go anywhere in the world they want. It's all about the product and service. When you learn sales the way I teach it, I can have you selling refrigerators on Friday. We could do Lear jets on Monday. You won't even miss a step. You're like, oh, we're doing Lear jets. Let's do it. It's like, let's do it. We're selling that. We're doing what we're doing. Psychiatric treatment. Let's do it. We're doing a medical assistant programs. Okay, we're doing it. I mean, it's just a mindset. Like, I don't care. You place your product or service in the process. That's all you do. You don't change anything. That's why sales is simple, but it's not easy. 10 steps, focus on that. When you come home, you're working on your husband. Hey, let me ask you a question. You ever thought about going to dinner? Why would you do that? Let me ask you this. Blah, blah, blah. Close. Let's do it. Boom. It just is your nephew comes over, you want money? Why would I give you money? Let me ask you a question. You ever thought about what you're going to do with the money? Well, if I could do this, then don't you want to do that? Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, let's get it done. Close. You just keep going.
Yeah.
You keep
Yeah.
going. The guy comes on, want to cut your lawn. I want to do it for 150. I thought about 150, but I was thinking around about 75. Everybody else is paying 150. But let me ask you a question. If we could, I don't know, would you take 75 if I maybe can give you a referral for somebody down the road? Not saying I can do it, but I'm just asking. Oh, for 75, I do it for. So you're paying 75, they're paying 150. Boom, you walk in the house, you don't tell nobody nothing. Like, oh, you honey, I just did that because I know how to close. It's just it becomes fun. It's part of your life. This is what everything's about, sales. Most people don't know it. They just spending money and never asking. I couldn't do that. Well, I would never do that. It's rude. That's it. You can't
Yeah.
do that. You can ask for a better price. Oh my goodness. Are you serious? When you talk to certain cultures, you know, uh, and you're in Canada, Indian people, and then people from Jerusalem. It's traditional to ask. They're rude if you don't negotiate. They'll tell you. I can sell them air. Like if you don't get air in the next 30 days, you're gonna. Can I get a better deal? Can I? What do you got? Like, well, I'm giving you.
Yeah, I know. It's really ironic when you think
So when you
about
get
it.
on the
Like,
phone with that culture, you're like, okay, my
yeah,
game better be on. I better be on because they're gonna be on it. Like they've been trained to sell. They don't play around. So you're gonna get beat down if you don't know what you're doing in that. You already know in the phone conversation. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here
Yeah.
we go. So what tools do you have to help them? Because they still want it. They called you, they
Hmm.
emailed you. Something interested them. Are they qualified? I need services. Can they afford it? Yes. Get it to them,
Hmm.
close them, and then worry about the other stuff. You always can refund.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
always can refund. But
Yep.
people have a database of people they're calling back every week. Oh, are you ready?
Hmm.
You still thinking about it? You still
Hmm.
thinking? Wasting time in these databases, going back calling people that already should have been closed and getting referrals to grow your business bigger and better. But you're slowing yourself down by assuming, which is my first rule in sales, never assume anything, that they're not ready.
Hmm. Right. Yeah. Never assume anything in life, right?
Well, in
Yeah.
sales, because they're never going to tell you what you did wrong. And if they go get it from somewhere else, they'll tell you, I'm just no longer interested. They'll never tell you you wasn't good enough. You didn't close me. Somebody else called me, offered me a better deal, or just told me to do it, and I just did it. And I can't have the balls to come back and tell you I just didn't do it with you.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
just let's just end it there and let's just move on. And if I'm interested, I'll call you back. All these different things that you put in your database. You're gonna call me back if they're interested. No, they're not.
Hmm. No, not going to happen. Okay. Okay. So Ben, how do people work with you if they want to?
Very simple. I have a very limited program of working with people because it's a lot of one-on-one.
Yep.
So if they qualify to get in there, it's very limited. Because I get so inundated with people and I coach all day and I talk just like this all the time, put humor in it. I put in there meet with Benjamin for your clients, meetwithbenjamin.com. It's a link that
Okay.
you can click on. You can schedule an appointment with that. My website is 360 Sales Consulting. And my book, Master the Art of Closing a Sale by Benjamin Brown, is on Amazon. But my question for you, Luella, which is my aunt's name, what two things did you got from the call?
Okay. Oh, there you go. Closing the sale. The two things that well, I think you reaffirmed to me that emotion is everything. I mean, I know you didn't really call it that, but like that especially that one question that you have, like, what would your life be like if this never happens or you never attain, X, Y, Z? I mean, that really makes the person go into their, emotional bank, right? So, um, you reconfirmed that. And then, I mean, just like the fact, like you said, it's a step-by-step process. And it's almost like for me, when I work with people that are having a lot of difficulty in their relationships or just have in any relationship, doesn't have to be spousal or anything, you almost at first need to give them a script to follow because they are very foreign to the idea of speaking like this. And once they start speaking like this, they get the sale. They get sort of what they want, like in the end. So,
So what happens is I work with individuals. It normally takes, I've known this, about 35 to 43 days. And then the light bulb comes on. And they go, oh,
mhm.
I got it. I got it now. It makes so much sense. It's like it was, and I'm like, yes. It's like an orgasm. It's like because they finally got it, that it's been around them the whole time. Like it's
Right.
been in the dark, like the Matrix or something. And they're like, now I understand why I have to say that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes,
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 exactly. The
yes.
light
And
bulb.
now we can
Yeah.
start moving forward. It's a belief in themselves and a belief in the system. That's why I say the system will set you free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and the one thing you mentioned, like selling to like a PhD and a lawyer, and that makes a lot of sense as well because I know myself quite well, and I know that I do spend a lot of time in my head as much as but it's not an anxiety type of stuff. It's you're right, this analyzing, and so it's interesting that you picked that out, and uh you do realize the name of the podcast, right, Ben? I think I
Absolutely.
can.
Absolutely. That's why I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole, like, yeah. I mean, But you know what? I have a question for you. I ask a question to all of my guests at the end of the show, if I remember. I'm getting better at this. I don't always remember, but I'm getting better. And it's a question that my last guest has left for me. So you're also going to give me a question after we stop record, and you're
Okay.
going to present a question for the next guest.
Okay.
Okay? So the question is, what is one thing someone can do right now to start taking responsibility for their healing journey?
That's the question.
Yep.
All right. Coming from a divorce and a horrific separation where I've done a lot of therapy based upon that. And this is a relationship type deal you're talking about, right? The first thing that you need to do is realize that you got to take responsibility for your own actions. That's number one. And it sometimes take people 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Some people never get it to understand that long as you're pointing fingers, you will get nothing done. That aggravation and everything will wreak havoc. And it took me 2 years to get to that until I finally went through three therapists. So all therapists are not good. They're like doctors, right? So
Exactly.
look at the face. Look at the face. She knows it. I've been through it. So even going through the divorce helped me become a better sales coach and understanding the mental aspect of what people, because it can take you down, depression and everything else. You could be at your lowest point, and you need those steps to get out of that because it's dark and deep. I have an analogy that I'll tell you is freaking tell you how you feel. It's like real deep and dark. But once the guy I talked to 2.5 years into the deal, which was very brutal, said, now that I know what's going on, what do I do about it? And he says, about her. And he goes, nothing. He goes, you got you got to get it out of yourself first, and then maybe she will change because you change first. And I was like, what? But she did that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm so glad you came to that realization, Ben. Like, because that's what I
Yeah.
preach. That's what I preach. You want to heal, put yourself in front of a mirror and just keep
Oh.
on going deeper and
Ooh,
deeper. Yeah, and
ooh,
take full responsibility for your situation. That's
ooh,
true healing.
ooh. Can I tell it to you? You have time?
Sure, you want
Okay.
the
You might
audience
have
to
to
know?
clip. You might have to clip this out. It'll help a bunch of people.
Okay.
So when you go through a divorce, or you go through when the person that you love left, and we were together 13 years with two kids, 5 and 2, and all the blame came on me. Why? But they left. The analogy I said, you and your spouse are going down to the pond or to a lake. It's a beautiful day. You see, beautiful out there. Birds are flying. There's boats out there. You're out there with your two children. So there's a dock on the lake. So you and your spouse decide to walk down, leave the kids at the bank, of course, and go down and just take a look at this. You got time. You're just there for the day. So you go down, you walk down to the dock. You might be holding hands, depending on how close you are, but you've been together for a while. You're just going down there to take a look and see what it looks like. So when you get down towards the end of the dock, you start to look, you're looking around. It's like, whoa, this is beautiful. Everything is good. Couldn't be better in your life. All of a sudden, you feel a push at your back. You realize the next thing is that you're in the water. You're quite far away from the dock and you're fully clothed and you got your shoes and everything on, and you know that you're not a very good swimmer. So you're in the water and you start to come up for air like you normally would, an instinct, and you're like realizing that you can't swim. You're not getting close enough to the dock because you're not strong enough swimmer. You got your shoes on. You might need a little help. As you come up for air about the third time you come up, you look. Your spouse is there looking at you with the arms folded at the end of the dock, looking at you, not doing anything, not saying a word. You can't get a word out because you start to realize that you're going down and you're going up like a normal human being trying to get air, trying to figure out what the situation is. As you come up the next time, after the third time again, you come up and your spouse is sitting at the end of the dock, sitting on the dock, swinging their legs, looking at you. Now you're in a panic, like, what is going on? I can't realize what's going on. This is very strange. I don't understand anything. You're starting to realize that I'm in the water. My clothes are soaking wet now. It's getting heavier. I'm running out of wind. I got to keep going. Something is not right. Panic is starting to set in like a normal human being. You've been in the water for quite a while. So you start going into what most people to do. Swimming classes, you go into what? The survival kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you know how to get back up and down because nobody's coming to get you. So you want to live, but you're starting to panic because you realize if you don't do this, something's not right. You're doing survival kicks to come up and down because you realize your spouse is not coming to get you. About the 40th time you bob your head up, you look, your spouse gets up, you look and get excited. They stand up from the sitting position, turn around and start heading back towards the end of the dock. And as you look, there's another person at the end of the dock coming down towards the dock. And as you kick and you wind up, you look out, you see the two people meet at the middle of the dock and embrace.
It breaks.
Embrace.
Embrace. Oh, dear. Okay.
They start to affectionately kiss, and you start to realize kind of like what's going on with all the shock in the water. It's dark. Everything starts going right. And I tell people at that point in time, the panic really sets in because now you're realizing what's going on and the whole deal and there's things like that. At that point in time, the time, like I said, with the phone call, you need to get help as soon as possible. There's only 3 things that you can do. Number 1, you can give up and you could just stop kicking because you got to do something. Number 2, you could take the short route and kick yourself to the dock. But when you go to the dock, you're going to have to get up. You're going to have to go through those 2 people to get back to land and to your children, which is normally not going to be pretty. That's why they're on the news. That's why you see it all the time. People crimes, murder, suicides. You see all that because they decided to go back to the dock. I decided to do the hard thing, get the help that I really want, focus myself, and swim around the dock and swim back to the bank,
Mm-hmm.
which is the hardest thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And once you do that, you can start to doing the healing point. That is how I analyze for people when you go through a divorce and you realize things like that. The pain that you go through, that you now have to leave that person, you have to go around and swim the harder way back to your children. So a lot of what happened to me, it gave me motivation was my kids. So that's why people stay for kids, because they're relying upon somebody who, the only ones that sometimes loves them still.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't leave them because they love me. But most people don't have that or think about that, and they stop swimming, or they go back to the dock and they go to jail.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when I found the right person to put that in my perspective, I was able to, like a man, become logical, not emotional, and realize what I needed to do and start focusing on that. And that's when I started, after about 2.5 years, getting healthy. Because I talk to guys who are in this type of situation all the time.
Yeah.
I'm a mental, I'm not only a coach, but I help guys out of situations out of military, coming out of military, and guys coming out of divorce, because
yeah,
guys
you've been
are
there. Yeah.
And it is, and you have to find somebody who's been through it, not been theorized on it, because to realize the pain and the way it is, you can't teach that. It doesn't come in a book.
Right.
And so to get help with that from people is it saves lives.
Yeah.
Because you think there's nothing left.
Yes. Well,
And
I mean,
I'm a
so
Marine and tough and everything, and it's like there's nothing left.
and I'm really glad, you do see therapy that way now, right? Because it definitely is a lifesaver if you find the right person. You made 2 important distinctions there, and so thanks for that analogy, Ben. And I loved it. And I will grab your question after we end this podcast, and I will also link Ben's info in the show notes, guys. So thanks so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Okay. Everyone else, we'll see you next week. Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.